Absolutely. Hope you guys are doing great this spring. Just wanting to spend some time with you guys and talk about South Carolina defense and where we are and just the guys and the coaching staff. Any questions?
Chandler Mack's got the first one.
Hey, Coach White. Hope you're doing well today. Talk to us about what you've seen out of Jordan Birch so far, and also through the first couple of weeks of practices. Who has stood out to you as the leader and captain of the defense so far?
Well, obviously start out with Jordan Birch. He's obviously a physical specimen. Easy to recognize once you walk into the building, and it's even better once you get on the football field. He flies around. I would say during our competitive toughness during the month of February and March, he really stood out. I think as we get on the football field, he's done a really good job of just understanding the defense, taking the coaching from all coaches. As far as the standouts right now, we've only had 3 practices, and I've seen some guys fly around with some great effort, understanding the defense. Guys like RJ Rogers has stood out to me on the very first day with a couple of turnovers. Just really his effort to the ball. Whenever he's on, he's on. So the goal right now is to keep him consistent. Up front, I thought, obviously JJ had a couple good days and a couple good pass rushes here. For the most part, it's been the same guys that we're looking for. Some more guys are stepping up.
Dick Cox.
Hi, Coach. You inherited a defense that was depleted by injuries last year and players opting out, though. How has the transition been this year? Do you feel like that you've got the current talent to be able to run the system you want to run? And how have they bought into the system you're putting in?
Obviously, we have some guys with some injuries and some transfers and things of that nature. But right now, our focus is on the guys that are here, focus on the task at hand. I feel like our guys have definitely bought in mentally to what we're trying to teach right now. So it's just about teaching, and every single day we're trying to put a lot on their plate. We don't have any light days scheduled for as installation and as far as football. I think the most important thing is just to get our guys on the same page. As far as the talent in the building, there's definitely a lot of talent in this building. We just got to find the right guys and the right pieces. And right now, guys are asking to play multiple positions, which that's very encouraging for as a football program when guys are willing to step up and say, Coach, I can play this, I can play that as well. A lot of double learning in the building right now, with us being kind of shallow as far as depth. But obviously, we'll get more bodies back in the spring, more bodies back in the summer, and obviously more bodies back when some freshmen come in.
Colin Taylor.
Hey, Clayton, I'm curious. You have that little, I guess it's a rover, spur, whatever you want to call it, in that 4-2-5 defense. I'm curious, when you're evaluating this roster, what are you looking for in that rover position? And are there guys on this roster currently where you think that they can fill that role?
We just call it just a nickel or a big nickel, depends on the body type. So, that's kind of what we call that position to start out with. Obviously, you're looking for a guy that has, multiple talents, a very instinctive football player that can go out and cover, that doesn't mind mixing it up. When I say cover slot receivers, not just cover anyone, cover slot receivers, and doesn't mind blitzing. And, we have some guys that really fit that role. Right now, we're just trying to really roll on a lot of different guys in that position right now just to see what kind of defense we're going to roll out to start out with.
Josh Kendall.
Hey, Clayton, what has been your impression of Tonka Hemingway thus far?
You know what? Very impressed with Tonka. Tonka was a guy that we move. He's playing multiple positions up front. He's playing inside. He started out with a little bit as the edge, but now he's put on some weight. He's a smart football player. He does a really good job of understanding. He does a great job with Coach Lindsay of taking the coaching. His technique on tape is really good. I think he plays with great effort. I think those are the two things. He's very tough. He's kind of a quiet guy, so you got to watch out for those quiet guys every now and again. Those are the ones that scare you the most, right? But I think Tonka's in that kind of role, but he's really, as flourishing, is probably the most surprising guy that, based on the evaluation that was given to me before we stepped foot on the football field, he's definitely a trending up kind of player.
Thank you.
Yep.
Rick Henry.
Hey, Coach, good to see you this afternoon. I was just wondering, is there a guy or maybe a couple of guys that have stood out because of their physicality and aggression, maybe delivered a hit that caught the attention of everyone on the practice field?
Great question. So Rick, the first day we only had 3 practices so far, so we had 1 in pads. Brad Johnson is a guy that I've seen that likes to mix it up and likes to be very physical. That's been the hardest hit that I've seen. It was on a wide receiver, so I'm not gonna count that yet, but I want to see him hit one of our running backs, one of those staple that we have in the backfield. So that's when I really count it. But we haven't really had like a jaw blowing hit yet.
Hill McGranahan.
Hey, Coach, I was just curious if you could share some of the details about who's working where at those linebacker spots and what maybe you've seen, and again, in brief time with pads on.
Obviously, we have the veteran guy, Sherrod Green, who's also working the inside linebacker spot. Brad Johnson he's a versatile guy, athlete, so he's moving to the inside linebacker position. We have a young guy by the name of Debo Williams, who's also playing LB for us. We have Mo Kaba from North Carolina. He's playing linebacker. Resendo. We also have Damani Staley. So those are the 6 guys, veteran guys that are playing. We also have Darrell Ware, Sean, the former tight end who's now playing LB for us, and then hope I didn't leave nobody out. I think that's it. Jamar Brown as well. Jamar is still battling back from some injury, so he's in my linebacker room too. So, but those are the guys. So my ultimate goal is to find 5 or 6 guys that we can trust on Saturdays. That's the most important thing we're looking for right now.
Colin Taylor.
Yeah, Clayton, I'm curious, where are you guys just in terms of percentage-wise from a defensive installation point, 3 practices in?
Great question, man. So my ultimate goal whenever I install is to give them as much as possible without overloading it. So today, the first 3 practices, I feel like in my mind we gave them quite a bit. We probably 60, 70% in 3 days. Now, obviously, it's not every single call, every single variation of your defense, but it's definitely multiple layers within packages. You know what I mean? So I kind of believe in giving them a piece of almost like every practice is like a game. So I give them a first down call, second down call, some things that we would do on third down, just so they can understand it and they can broaden their horizon as far as football knowledge. That's kind of where I'm at. So even in 7-on-7, they may get some third down pass calls and things of that nature. Some couple short yardage pass calls or medium pass calls. So I'm gonna say 70% of the defenses has been introduced.
To follow up, just it seems like when you talk about offensive installation, it's pretty simple in terms of formations and what you want to do. What's the key to a good defensive installation? How do you go about doing that? I'm curious, just take me through that process of how you install, because it seems easier to understand from an offensive standpoint.
Yeah. So first of all, everybody thinks defense is easy. It's really not. So the more complicated offenses are, the more complicated we have to be as defenses, and that's just my opinion. But I would say to start out with, Coach Beamer did an outstanding job of laying out the plan. So we really had about 8 weeks to really teach it from the ground. This is the first time I've been able to do that this long. So we was able to break some barriers in our defense in regards to teaching and help these guys learn it faster, because this is year 9 for me. This was week 1 and 2 for them. So I had to really, come down a lot, and we broke a lot of barriers. I became better as a football coach these past 9 weeks. Just to, I can honestly say that I became a better ball coach these past 9 weeks because of the transition. And just breaking it down, well, for the first thing we do as a week is we teach our players offensive formations and philosophies and what they're trying to do. So we spend a week on that, and that's an everyday thing. So I kind of start from there. We kind of start from there, and then you just go in from there, from your 4-down stuff, your 3-down stuff, and you move on. And you start with your coverages and your blitzes, and it's pretty fun. Once they get that first part, it becomes fun.
Dick Hacks.
I guess going into the season this year, the big question position is the secondary. Lost a lot of players back there, and they really struggled last year. How is rebuilding the secondary been going this year?
Well, I will say, rebuilding the secondary doesn't start on the practice field. It starts off the field. I think as a defensive back, like I said, I coached DBs for 18 years, and I understand the defensive back world, it starts off the field with discipline. So regardless of who's back there, they have to be a disciplined person off the field to start. So our offseason program has helped us develop that room. And I think bringing Coach Gray in was a huge part of it. He's a well-known defensive back coach who gets after it. He's on it. He's a team coach. Got my hats off to him. coming into a new defense as a DB coach is not the easiest thing to do in the world. All right, to learn someone else's techniques and what we want. I really give my hats off to the program first. Discipline is going to be the only way that we're going to be able to play defensive back here at South Carolina. We all know that if you're not disciplined, we make mistakes. Our mistakes show up on the scoreboard as DBs. It's not like any other position where you get second and third downs to redo things, and a DB mess up is points. So discipline is where it's going to start, and so that's where we're going to lay our hat on.
Hilmer Granahan.
Sticking to the subject of DBs, how challenging has it been when you've got guys who've been out for various reasons and guys who aren't here yet? What's that been like, having to maybe juggle not as many numbers as you should have typically?
Absolutely. It's kind of hard trying to put together a 4-2-5 when you don't have 10. But it's been challenging, and I think what it has done as coaches, it makes us become more creative. It makes us look at the practice schedule a little bit deeper. It makes us look at each other as coaches, how we're going to teach it, which players are going to dual learn two positions. So it's actually making us a little bit deeper than what it may seem mentally, as far as just as a defense in the end. Once we get our bodies and the guys that we need to get here, I think in the end it's going to pay off for us on dividends, because we're teaching 4 or 5 guys multiple positions. I think that's going to help us in the end.
But generally speaking, when you're looking at guys to play cornerback in your system versus guys to play safety, what are some of the physical attributes you look for in those different spots, or maybe mental as well? What are you trying to evaluate with those types of guys?
I say multiple positions. Not everyone can go out and play corner. You know what I mean? I think most human beings can find a way to play safety at some point. You know, safety is nowhere near the same as corner. All right, so let me start by saying that. So you got to have, when you're looking for corners, it's speed, change direction, and burst. Those are the things that you have to have at that position in order to compete at any level. Safety, you got to have those things, but they don't have to be as high. But your football instincts and your awareness and your just your football smarts has to be a little bit higher than most people. And you have to understand offenses. You have to understand what you're looking for. You have to understand what your defensive coordinator and your defensive back coach wants and needs. So those are the kind of guys you're looking for. Former high school quarterbacks. Sometimes wide receivers are good guys that bring over. Running backs are the best safeties that you can possibly find because of the ability of vision and understanding running lanes and those things of that nature. But those, DBs got to be the best, man. They have to be the best and the most disciplined. If not, points on the scoreboard for the other team. End of story.
And there have been some guys on the roster now who play offense, who experimented some on defense last year. Have y'all done any of that? Can you share any details of whether or not that stuff's happened yet with y'all?
We have not. I think right now, we only got 3 in. I think Coach Beamer has, he's an all-around football coach. He's just not a offensive guy, defensive guy, or ST guy. He's kind of, all-around head football coach. So he has a great pulse on what needs to happen for us multiple positions. There's been some slight conversations, but nothing major.
Colin Taylor.
Yeah, Clayton, I'm curious. Where are you guys in terms of, now that you've built this 2021 class, where are you guys in terms of building momentum into this 22? Where do you guys feel like you are with that? And how pleased are you with some of the additions that you've made in this 2021 class that still aren't on campus?
We're very pleased with some guys that we're bringing in. Obviously, I can't really speak on names of prospects and those things of that nature. I kind of stay away from those kind of questions a lot just because of the rules. I try to stay off that list, you know what I mean? But very pleased with the way things are going. Obviously, with our current state of our country right now as far as the pandemic, we can't go out and recruit, can't evaluate, but it's a lot of different ways to evaluate kids, and we like what we're seeing.
And how big is it going to be for you? Not talking specifically about one guy or a couple guys, but in total, how important is it going to be to get guys on campus, hopefully this summer, and be able to show them what's going on in the building?
I think it's going to be very important. I think, just like right now, I can't wait to meet some of you guys in person. It's the same feeling. Put the name with a face, put the name on the computer screen, that helps. But the more and more I talk to you guys, just like the recruits with us, they want to shake our hand, give us a hug, and get to know each other, feel each other. So it's going to be very important to get these guys on campus, number one, so they can see our facilities. Some of these guys in the class of 22 may not have been here. The class of 21 guys, obviously, they may have gotten recruited in January, right before the pandemic, but the 22 probably did not. The chances are slim. So it'd be nice to get these guys out here on campus, and obviously, if you get a chance to work them out and have a camp, that'll be even better.
Go back to Hale.
Coach, on your roster, y'all have the edge position listed, and there are a lot of guys there, and a lot of guys who have been really productive players and talented and all that. What have you seen from that group, and what are you sort of expecting from them moving forward?
Yep. So, coming to the SEC, that was the first thing I had to get used to. Where the big guys can run, and the big guys are also big. So I had to get used to that. But no, this group here is pretty impressive. It's I can't compare it to the other SECs that haven't been up close and up personal. But we have about 4 or 5 guys that are big and can run and can. Very impressive group, man. And I don't want to overhype them or anything like that, but they're pretty good. They play well together. They're coached well by Coach Peterson. They loving what's going on right now in the defensive room, and those guys are probably definitely the best group on this football team, on this defense for sure. Very impressed. I don't want to go too crazy, but I'm very impressed with that group.
Hale, you muted yourself.
I was going to say that's a pretty solid compliment for those guys.
John Dell.
Clayton, what's it been like going against Marcus Satterfield's offense, through 3 practices? What's that friendly competition like between you and him as you both are trying to build your identity and your schemes here at the same time?
It's been a really good mix. Our offense, I truly think they're doing some really good things. They have a big old line, nice running back. I think the things they're doing schematically is definitely it's obviously making us look at our weaknesses on our defense. It's also making us finding holes in certain coverages and certain fits. Every single defense has a plus and minus to it, and I think that what they're doing is helping us out, becoming better. They got playmakers. They have running backs. They have O-line. They have a fast quarterback. I like Luke Dowdy a lot. I think that it's a really good system. And me and Marcus, we've known each other for over a decade, so it's not like it's we all in this thing together. Definitely, there's no doubt about it.
Thank you.
Kate Crenshaw.
Yeah, Coach, not being able to travel and visit recruits right now, I'm sure creates an additional hurdle for you guys in the recruiting process. So walk me through what a virtual couch visit looks like for you.
I'm sorry, that last part broke up. Take you through a virtual.
Just a virtual in-home visit, usually where you're talking to parents and families in their homes about their kids. What does it look like now virtually?
It's actually pretty cool. I think South Carolina does a great job. Our video department here, our creative department here does an outstanding job of capturing the moment. I think the most important thing here, we kind of give them a piece of everything. It's basically like a highlight tape of each department of our football program. We get questions answered in the end, and then at the end of the visit, after about 40, 50, 45 minutes or 50 minutes or so, that recruit gets on the Zoom with that with that side of offense or defense, and then we just kind of have like a real visit. But the very first part of it is just almost like we're taking you through the building, taking you to academics, taking you over to nutrition, weight room, training room, athletic training room, and those things of that nature. But it's pretty cool. It's about 50 minutes to an hour or so, and they're pretty cool, very interactive, a lot of energy.
Josh Kendall.
Clayton, Marcus said that the offensive staff has just got an open invitation to players in the meeting room when they're in there. Are you guys doing the same thing? And have you had many guys take you up on it?
You know what? Obviously everyone's different. Ours kind of roll a little different. We use our guys don't come into our defensive staff room as much, but they do come up into the position meeting rooms up here. So, on days when our phones blow up immediately after practice, Coach, where can I watch this? Coach, who's going to watch this with me? I tell the linebackers that the goal is by the time we meet on paper that you should already have the film graded and you should already have the film watched, so we can hit the mistakes and move on. But I think it's been pretty good as far as having guys up here. There's been some days that I left and guys are up here watching tape and going through the book, trying to find different ways to learn it because it's all new. Been very impressed with the environment here.